I can give an example about laws that in the present, for example, are acceptable or society accept, but in the past it was not like that, or even it occurs in different countries. And so from this perspective, I agree in that, okay, why this Supreme Court or decide the rules. I would maybe address it from the human perspective, of humanity, because who decides which are the rules? Maybe in some cases, if we think about civil authorities, it varies very, very easily. I can tell of my country, I am from Colombia. Actually, what is commendable, good for society right now, 20 years ago was definitely immorality. What is marriage? What is gender? Even things like that.
Exactly.
But my point is that based on the perspective or based on what society or some people decide, rules are issued, and maybe there is a problem in the case or when we analyze rules in terms of, okay, only because a civil authority decides, but on the other side, I would also question this idea of, not necessarily question, but I have another question for that. When you said about some, I don't remember your exact words, but some rules that are obviously wrong. When I hear that statement, I could come again to the point, from the point of view of whom, it is obviously it is wrong. For example, to kill another person, it is forever, I don't know, we know that this is wrong. My point of view is that necessarily, or I believe, principles and morality has a role to do here. So this is
very interesting.
You have a very good point. I just want to go indulge on that. For example, like bringing the idea of a leadership, being a president or having a presidency role, for example, and in the decision level, for example, a director of maybe a company, organization, a community, association, for example, any levels as someone on influencing the others, for example. So I think this is very interesting in the human levels, I think, because we have to look at the idea of science that we need to create some standards, some rules, some regulations to guide people. I think we believe in humanity cannot be organized, even if they are well enlightened, civilized, well educated, erudite community. They might not have, or they can't organize themselves in a perfect manner of coming to the level of saying, we don't need the rules to tell us this is the wrong thing. We already know it's the wrong thing. And that's one of the things that sometimes I just questioning myself on those levels. Like, why is people are educated, why they still do? So that's why when I look at that context, I come up and say, so what is the point of the education itself if people they don't learn to understand that there are 1, 2, 3 are the concrete right thing to do in life, morally speaking, for example. And then when you open the moral itself, moral will come and say this is subjective, this is generally can be agreed, and this is personally can be agreed, for example, on objective levels, for example. So in terms of being a leader, for example, if we believe in leadership, for example.
If I take the example of somebody working for a boss, like you have a boss at work and you follow the orders that your boss gives you. There you have a contract, you look at the contract and you agree. Like you agree to the contract and you follow the orders or the regulations of the contract. Once your boss crosses that line, you have the right to say no. So for example, if you agree to a contract that says you work till 3 p.m., you work till 3 p.m. And when your time is over, you go home. Now, I want to get back to an earlier point that you made about this is an institution, and we should try to save it regardless of whether it's doing. No, I mean, if it's an institution and it's doing something wrong, I don't want to save it. I should say this is doing a wrong thing. And I'm not going to support it because it's doing the wrong thing. If you want me to support it, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Like and this kind of gets me back to the term Penenga. I mean, if I know this person is a killer and I know this person is actually a criminal, should I support them just because they have my interest, like they have a thing that is part of my interest, or should I support them because they're doing the right thing? I think I should support them if they're doing the right thing. But if I just support them because they're supporting my interest, that's not like being, I don't know, that's not like being right, but that's like being selfish.
No, I think if I put something, for example, car and the driver.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I say institution, I mean the car, not the driver. So the driver is the one driving the car. If the car is crashed or let's make the accident, so the rules will be applied onto the car because we can't tell about this car, so that's why we need to forbid it, or let's say we need to destroy the car or something like that. So rule will be applied to the conscious being because it's sentient humans. All right. So when I think institutions, it's not the individual. So meaning like it's not a leader who is the head of the institutions. I mean the title itself, the national institution. This name need to be preserved. You know, and it's not about people. The other side is like, oh, we against the 1, 2, 3 individuals in the institution. They are more on destroying the entire individuals plus the institution itself. They think, yes, I agree with you that you can go against with the peoples who are in the positions. If you disagree, you can go against. If you think that you can take the violence as a means for the answer, for changing things, I have no problem, you can take it. That's totally subjectively there. But what I think is that...
What about just saying no?
No.
What about just saying no?
No.
Like,
okay, Sudan is bad. So should we fight and change even the name Sudan? I don't think so.
That the example that you gave about the car and
That's the thing.
yeah, the car and the driver, I don't think it actually serves to the point that you want to make because, like, okay, a car is this physical object that is there, and we have this driver. Now, when we say the Constitution and when we say a country, most of the time what we're talking about, like especially the Constitution, most of the time what we're talking about is not like a physical thing. These are just rules and regulations that we make up, and we think these are the good things that we should follow. Now, the driver is the person in charge of these rules, these imaginary rules that we make up. Now, what happens? What happens is that the driver is obviously bad, but then instead of saying you, the driver, you're not following the rules, and we're not going to support you because you're not following the rules. No, what happens is that there are people who support the driver, and we know that the driver is not following the rules, but they support him regardless of what's happening. Now the car is there. I agree we should save the car, we should save the country. But the driver is doing a bad thing. That's like obviously gonna harm the car. But then the supporters are saying we should support this driver because this is the driver that is gonna save the car. But then,
so meaning like you need to exploit the car and the individual.
no, we should say no to the driver because the driver is doing a bad thing.
No,
Now,
I'm not saying no. It's about, because we're talking about the means of the violent to change. That's what we're talking about, war, conflict.
you don't have to.
No,
you
can
don't-
I? Because we need to, because the base that we have is about not the intellectual change process or the revolutionary change process. We are talking about military groups that they are trying to fight, for example. So it's obviously the means of the violence to change things.
No, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But you don't necessarily have to inflict violence. Like you don't have to inflict violence on others, and you don't have to support violence. Like if you say no, listen. If you say no, if there is somebody committing violence and you say no to that violence and you don't support it, you're not part of the problem. But once you say yes, this person is doing violent things. This person is committing crimes. I know. This person has been committing crimes for a long time. I know. But I'm supporting him because this is my only option. Because if I don't support him, then my country is going to collapse or my car is going to get burned down. That's like, okay, this is violent and this is violent, but I'll support this one because this supports my interest.
No. You know, you're making a very good example of Hitler, for example, destroying entire village because of these one person or two groups they enter. So that's the moral levels. You know, the moral touch that you are touching is about. You know, it's about as if like even this is opinion level. You know, like you follow the rules. Absolutely, that's why it's bad. So we take any means to get rid of something bad. All right. So whether we kill, whether we push, whether we think, whether we, I don't know, whatever it is. So that's what history is almost telling us, I think.